So you own an iPhone and you already know about tapping the screen, swiping between pages, pinching and pushing to zoom in and out on a photo. But what about all the other gestures that you can use? In this video, I'm going to share 26 touch, tap, and swipe gestures that I reckon most iPhone owners don't know about. Okay, let's get into it. In Safari, you can swipe along the address bar to move between your open tabs. You might need to tap at the bottom of the screen first, just to make the address bar appear, but once it's visible, just swipe your finger left or right on that bar to flip through all your open tabs. Also in Safari, instead of pressing the ellipsis button at the bottom of the screen and then tapping all tabs to see everything you've got open, you can just double tap the ellipsis. It will take you straight to the All Tabs view. If you go into System Settings, then choose Accessibility, then scroll down and tap into Touch, you can turn on a feature called Shake to Undo. The next time you make a mistake while typing, or if you delete an email from your inbox, for example, you can just shake your iPhone. It will pop up a prompt asking if you want to undo whatever you just did. If you tap the volume up or volume down buttons on the side of your iPhone, you'll see a little volume slider appear on the left. If you quickly tap it with your finger, you can slide it up or down for much more precise control. This also works with scroll bars in apps like Safari. So if you're scrolling through a long article and you see the little scroll bar on the right, just long press it for a second and then drag up or down to move through the page much faster. In apps like Reminders or the Mail app, if you want to select multiple items, you could tap the Select button at the top and then tap each item one by one. Or you can tap Select and then just swipe your finger down the list to select everything in one go. Or, even quicker, don't press Select at all. Just use two fingers and swipe down the list and you'll select all of them instantly. Oh, very quickly, if you watch videos like this and think, well, that's great, but I'll definitely forget it later, I've made something to fix that. I send one short, free iPhone tip every day direct to your inbox. It's called the Daily Swipe. It takes 30 seconds to read, and it genuinely helps you remember and actually use tips like the ones in this video. Just scan the QR code on screen or tap the link in the description to join for free. In the Maps app, instead of zooming in with two fingers to pinch and push, you can do the whole thing with one hand. Just double tap anywhere on the map, and after that second tap, keep your thumb or finger held down. Then swipe down on the screen to zoom out or swipe up to zoom in. This one's especially useful if you're holding your phone in one hand and you want to zoom with just your thumb. In Settings, if you're several menus deep, instead of tapping the back button over and over, just long press the back button in the top left corner and pick the page that you want to go back to. Also in Settings, you can swipe from the left side of the screen to go back a page. You need to start right on the very left edge for this to work, and it only works for going back. You can't swipe from the right to go forwards. If your iPhone supports Apple Intelligence, go into Settings, then tap Apple Intelligence and Siri, and then tap Talk and Type to Siri. Turn on Type to Siri. Then whenever you want to, you can just double tap at the very bottom of the screen and an Ask Siri window will pop up. Whatever you'd normally say to your voice assistant, you can just type into that box instead. In the Photos app, if you want to select photos, you start by pressing the Select button in the top right and then tapping the photos that you want. But if you want to select a large group of them, instead of tapping each one individually or dragging from left to right, you can just drag from the top left down to the bottom right of the group that you want. It makes it way quicker to select a big batch of photos. And if there are a couple in there that you don't want, you can just tap those individual ones to deselect them. Also in Photos, if you've got a photo that you want to add to an email and you already have the email open in the Compose window, you don't need to go back and copy it. Just open the Photos app, long press on the photo that you want, and while you're still holding it, swipe up to bring up the app switcher. Tap Mail to jump back into your open email, and then just drop the photo straight into the message. Also in the Photos app, if you've got a really big library of photos and videos, you can just tap the time up in the top left of your iPhone screen, and it will jump you straight back to the very earliest stuff in your collection. And if you want to get back to the default view, which is your most recent content, just tap Library in the bottom left, and you'll jump straight back. In the Photos app, if you swipe up on a photo, you'll see all the information about it, including things like when and where it was taken. If you swipe down on the photo, you'll go straight back to your photo library. I'm sure you already know that if you swipe up and hold for a second from the bottom of your screen, you'll get the app carousel where you can swipe through and tap into any of your open apps. In general, you shouldn't need to force close apps, but if you ever do want to and you want to close more than one at once, you can use up to 3 fingers on this screen. Just swipe up with 3 fingers and the 3 apps that you've got showing will all close at the same time. If you go into Settings, then Accessibility, then scroll down and tap into Touch and turn on Reachability, you can then use a little flick motion at the bottom of any screen on your iPhone. The whole screen will drop down so the very top now sits about halfway down your display. It makes it much easier to tap something at the top of the screen when you're using the phone with one hand. There is a secret text editing menu that you can use in apps like Mail or Notes, and the way that you open it is really simple. Just tap with 3 fingers anywhere in the app while you're typing. A little menu will appear at the top of your display, and in that menu, you'll see 5 options. You've got Undo on the far left, Redo on the far right, Cut just next to Undo, then Copy, and then Paste. You can also use 3 fingers to undo or redo while you're typing without bringing up that little menu. Just take 3 fingers and swipe from right to left on the screen to undo what you just wrote. And if you swipe from left to right with 3 fingers, it will redo it. If you've got a bulleted list of text, whether that's in Notes or Mail or a similar app, you can use your finger to swipe left or right on the individual bullets to change the indentation. Swipe to the right to increase it, swipe to the left to decrease it. This one's a bit of a strange one, but you might find it useful. There's a way to copy and paste text on your iPhone that you might not know about. So here in the Notes app, I've got some text selected, and I'm going to use my thumb and 2 fingers to make a pinching motion on the screen. When I do that, you'll see a little copy animation appear at the top. I'll then press Return to move down a couple of lines, and this time I'm going to use the same thumb and 3 fingers to push out on the screen. When I do that, it pastes the content. When you're dragging apps around the home screen, instead of holding your finger on the side of the screen and waiting for your iPhone to slowly move you to the next page, you can do it a much quicker way. Keep one finger holding the app that you want to move, then use another thumb or finger to swipe across the pages in the background. You can move through your pages really accurately and then drop the app exactly where you want it. Also, when you're dragging apps around the home screen, instead of playing Chase the Folder and trying to hover long enough to drop an app into it, there is a much easier way. Keep your original finger pressed down on the app that you're moving, then use another finger or your thumb to open the folder in the background. Once it's open, just drop the app straight into it. And this works the other way too if you want to take apps out of a folder. If you use Spotlight Search to find an app and you realize you'd actually like to have that app on your home screen, you can just long press on it right there in Spotlight, then drag it out of Spotlight and drop it straight onto your home screen. And the same works the other way around. If there's an app on your home screen that you don't want sitting there anymore, long press it and start dragging. Then swipe all the way over to the app library and let go anywhere in there. That will remove it from your home screen without deleting it from your phone. When you're typing and you want to select text, there are a few quick tips worth remembering. If you tap once on a word, your cursor will drop to either the beginning or the end of that word, depending on which side you tapped. If you double tap the word, your iPhone will select just that word. And if you triple tap a word, your iPhone will select the entire paragraph that word sits in. You'll then get all the usual options in the menu that appears, like cut, copy, paste, and so on. I'm sure you already know that when you're typing on your iPhone, if you want to move your cursor around with accuracy, you can long press on the spacebar and then move your finger around the keyboard. It basically turns the bottom half of your iPhone into a little trackpad, and you can drop the cursor wherever you want with complete precision. But did you know that you can use this exact same method to select text as well? Just long press on the spacebar, move the cursor to the start of the text that you want to select, and then tap anywhere on the screen with another finger. After that, move your original finger and you'll see the text selection bars appear, letting you select exactly the bit of text that you want. In the Camera app, if you swipe up from the black bar at the bottom of the screen, you'll open all of your menu options. And if you swipe down on that menu, it will disappear again. It wouldn't be a video about gestures if I didn't mention Backtap. It's a really old tip, but it is still worth talking about. Go into Settings, then Accessibility, then scroll down to the Physical and Motor section and tap Touch. In here, scroll all the way down to the bottom and tap Backtap. You can then assign a function to either double tap or triple tap by tapping into the one that you want and choosing from the list of options. You might pick something like taking a screenshot, activating Siri, switching on your torch, or anything from the accessibility menu. And if your phone supports it, you can enable the action button, which means you can set any of the control center features to the action button and then trigger that feature using Backtap. Once you've chosen what you want, all you do is double or triple tap the back of your phone to activate it. So there you go, that was 26 touch, tap, and swipe gestures for the iPhone. How many did you know? Did you learn anything new? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.